beautiful. But then turn so and it just go.
Okay, I hope it's working. Okay. Let me see. Can you hear us all? It's always like this, like when you're trying for the first time to get something like this done.
Womp womp.
Always one bag of drama. Yeah, we're all heard. Okay, we're ready to start.
Yeah. Properly too.
Yeah, proper start. I think it was just my computer.
I
Um,
trying to find it on let me
oh,
okay.
now we have a new YouTube link. So let me share the new YouTube link.
Womp womp.
So, guys, we're so sorry. We spent 3 hours yesterday trying to sort this out. We
Boy,
did not have this sound issue.
it's
But of
crazy.
course, on the day off, you always
You
end
sent
up
the
with these
new link?
problems. So, we're so sorry. We're usually very prompt with our start times. Um, Again, happy Mother's Day. If you're relaxing, grab something,
New
a
link,
little
John.
drink,
Yes, let me
and it's
get the
time for a little chat.
YouTube link. Yeah, it's always like this with technology. But we decided to move from
Technology saves.
Instagram to this format because we felt like, first of all, we wanted all of us to be able to talk because we usually have to like hop on and off. And second of all, it's just more like what do you call it, designed for this kind of things, and we have the flexibility of like the audio when it works, and the the little wine and chat logo, etc. So let me just grab the new link quickly to share so that people can start joining. I see people joining. We're also live on Heidi's Facebook page. So hi to the viewers from Heidi's Facebook page.
Hi, Heidi's friends.
Oh,
And
you want to
family.
share it? Share it on your respective
Yeah,
pages.
I'm waiting on Jan to send the YouTube link though.
Yeah,
So
I
that
just had it, but then I lost it and I don't know why. Okay, now I'm back here. Videos.
Okay, so this week we have Demion McTair, One News SVG, and it's a recent development, I think, within the last 2 months. He started this new online news publication, if that's the right terminology. So it would have been interesting to hear from him as a young person, a young male, because
Oh, he's
right
coming.
now
Yeah, he
there
hmm?
is.
are.
He's
Sorry.
joining.
Oh yes,
How
yes.
many viewers do we have right now?
Two on Heidi's Facebook, one on YouTube so far, and
Two.
now I'm sharing out. Now I'm sharing the link and stuff just to let people know that we're live.
Too lonesome too.
And for some reason, I can't see like who's watching from
Okay,
Twitter,
we have
but
5. Um, but
oh, I see. Hello,
Hey, good evening.
good
Hi.
evening.
Yeah, I myself have been having a little issue with I had to move like 3 different locations,
Yeah,
but
Oh wow.
I found the magic spot finally.
but the thing
Hi.
is, with the magic spot, we barely see in your face.
Yeah,
Oh my,
we're
sorry. Oh
seeing
my
like your
God.
shoulder.
Oh, oh
ah,
my
now we
God.
Right
see you.
there.
Oh, can't see the wine either. Okay. Don't mind the
Great.
rusty look. I'm afraid to go to the barber, so
We understand the
I wanted
times.
now. And no wine, but
Cranberry juice. Close
Like
enough.
We
a
are here
whole
for this.
a whole bottle of juice.
uh, Yeah, of course.
Would you need a bathroom break? Because
Okay, that'll be
Ah,
good.
okay, so we could probably start. I don't know if you shared this link with
The new
you
one?
shared a new link with
Yeah.
Demion, so he could share it with
let
his
me put it
his
in our Zoom chat. This is a new YouTube link.
so that you could share it on your page for anybody who wants to join and listen to you talk about your baby.
Right. I'm gonna repost it though. Well, with your permission.
Yeah, no
That's fine.
problem. I'm
Um,
just gonna send it to you now. Because since we had to close off and come back,
mm,
let me just also post it.
Okay, so the new link is in the Zoom chat and
Mm-hmm.
it's also in your Facebook Messenger.
is it Messenger? Okay, let
Yes.
me work on that right now and
Yeah, and then you could tell us when we could like kick off after you done share.
right. Messenger like
Let me put.
oh okay, it's really a new one. Yeah. So copy
Yeah, it's a new one.
Facebook. No, sorry. Where is that thing? One is see something. Oh, okay. Let me just do that one.
Um,
And
I was hearing you a bit clearer before, Demian, but not so much now.
oh yeah, that's because I'm not I was kind of talking like discreetly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And your crow is done.
Oh yeah, maybe I need to disconnect and reconnect from the video so that we could see you again.
Oh, okay. Let me just because I'm actually posting the links. I don't know if that's why.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
that
yeah.
could probably be.
It could be that. It could be that for sure. Could definitely be that.
No, share. We just share it on my WhatsApp too, just
Hey, no
Feel
problem.
free.
Oh
right
gosh.
for come why one news was started. One news SVG was started, and where we're going in now. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let me
Now I could slightly hear you.
yeah, that's
Are you back?
wait, I'm trying to find the Zoom app.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I minimize, but oh, okay, I got it. So you
Ah,
should
yeah.
come
Ah,
see
now
me
we
again.
could see you.
Oh, great.
Right.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay, and I
Yeah.
just saw your post, the tune in
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
I
Great.
hope I don't look too calm, we're live. Oh my god. Sorry, folks. So we're talking this right? Because I need a copy. To repost.
Jan, you could probably screen record.
Yeah, I could
Or
Like
start
record.
Zoom.
recording.
Start
Yeah, Zoom
recording,
has a
yeah.
recording
Oh, and
feature.
actually, because we're using this platform, it would actually be on the YouTube anyways.
Oh
So
yes,
everything
yes,
would be
yes, yes,
saved since
yes.
we're live on YouTube and everything. So I don't even need to record actually.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Start my
Great.
make some wine,
So cheers. Past
Of
all the
course.
technical difficulties, we're finally ready to go.
Yes, even though my glass is currently empty.
Oh, that's bad luck.
That is bad.
Cheers.
Alrighty.
Nice.
Sure.
So we're ready? Okay,
Yeah.
so we have Demion McTair here, and he is the founder and creator of One News SVG. And rather than talk about it, we'll just give Demion the floor to like just say, you know, what he needs to say about One News because a very new publication. How long since you started this?
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me, Kamisha and Janika and um,
Heidi.
Heidi.
um,
It's a lot of names to
I'm always
remember. It's
struggling with
okay.
that name for the secondary school. That's our name, you know. Yeah. But thanks for having me. It's a really great initiative. I like the idea. You know, wine and yeah, I like it. Wine and instead of wine and cheese, you know. One News SVG is just over a month old. Um, I had it in mind for quite a while, not the name, but I had the idea in mind for quite a while. I was always saying to myself, when I'm finished studying, I want to be an entrepreneur within my field. So I started One News, and I started it with Ashisha Sam. She is also a member of it, and one of my brothers, Denroy McTair. They're mainly in a administrative capacity.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So like what was I know you said you want after you said after you finished studying you wanted to get into it, but like what was the driving force behind it? Like what spurred you saying, okay, let me start this today or let me
Oh,
start
I
this
love
next?
that question. I absolutely love that question because with the COVID-19 pandemic, um, I noticed that many more people than usual were seeking for information.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you have issues like that, you could have there's a lot of information available from many different sources. People are hungry for information in times of crisis. And
Mhm.
I'm saying to myself, you know, this is probably a good time to start all of the people who are being affected by COVID 19 in every sector, in every way, in every level. And we need to ensure that with the pressing issues that we have, that all sides of the story are told in a fair and a balanced way. So I said, this is the perfect time. Let me start, step out in faith, and I contacted Ashicia for some advice and Denroy, and they said, "Well, yeah, go ahead." So I said, "Okay, yeah, go ahead." I started, start with the
And
first.
your background is in media though, right?
Absolutely. So I have 7 years in radio as a broadcast journalist,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I have some background in public relations at the community level as
Okay.
well. So I started formal training I decided not to be formally trained in journalism since I had some exposure in that 7 years.
Mhm.
Wow.
I really trained in IMC, which is Integrated Marketing Communication, and that's a mixture of public relations, social marketing, which is about behavior change, and advertising, and the general media and communication studies.
Okay, I
Okay.
actually have never heard about that integrated
Marketing,
marketing.
communication.
Wow,
Me
yeah.
either. It's the first time. And I really
Yeah,
didn't realize that you already had 7 years of experience in journalism. Wow. That's a lot.
Yes, at WFM Radio. Started in when I was 19 years old. Well, I'm gonna give him.
Quick maths.
10, and I finished in 2017, and came to study.
okay, nice. So, have you had like any challenges, in the process of starting
Let me
this
drink some wine
new?
for that one.
So clearly you had, so I'm going to take this as you had many challenges.
Oh yes, many challenges, many challenges. Let's start. Let's start
You're
with
probably second guessing that cranberry juice now.
let's start with the fact that I'm still juggling school and this and different things because school was postponed for a month, pushed back for a month. So I still have some final projects to submit just to finalize things. Those are very heavy projects, but um, I'm still managing to balance my time between One News and those and other domestic issues. Finance is another challenge because it's not easy to start something like this at a time when people are pulling ads.
Yeah.
People are resorting to advertising on their own social media platforms. You know,
Yeah.
they're pulling ads from a lot of media entities, and you're starting this at a time when people are pulling ads. How are you going to sustain this? It's a serious question, serious marketing question. But with every new enterprise, there's always going to be about a love thing. I love media. I love communication. I see that there's a need um, for something like this, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go out in faith, and I'm going to do it. And so far, I think it has been paying off. Not financially, of course, but another challenge is that a lot of people are late. A lot of people are laggards in terms of if you use like diffusions of innovation, how quickly people come on to new ideas.
Yeah.
You find all the innovators, the adapters. I've had support from family and friends on Facebook says something, and
Yeah.
continually.
Right.
So I think people are liking the brand personality so far, and it's up to me to continue to build that trust between One News and the people, and show
Mm-hmm.
them that we're not going to be biased. We are going to be as fair as possible, as balanced as possible. We're going to try our best to bring stories from several viewpoints. Breath of fresh air. We're going to stay away
Yeah.
from the mudslinging and the political, partisan political stuff. And when I say stay away from it, we're going to stay away from any inclination to, be biased in a particular
Yeah.
way as opposed to another.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep it as clean. It must feel like a fair platform that everyone
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
chance to come on and
Yeah.
truthfully say what they have to say without fear or favor.
I think I saw the that principle of being unbiased in how One News covered the issue of the repatriation of sailors.
Thank
Like,
you.
yeah, I think that I
Yes,
think
because
that for sure stood out to me.
yes, it's vital because if we are having a position from someone on the seas who says that they are giving a voice to other people in their neck of the woods, we have to highlight what they're saying
Yeah.
very impassioned. So the
Yeah.
aim cannot be to say to paint them in a particular way. I really don't believe in that type of journalism. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
believe if X says X, X says X. You could
Mhm.
provide background, context, and so on, but you have to give everybody a voice. You say, give the government a voice, give the opposition a voice, give the sailors a voice, give their families a voice. Everyone should have a voice to um, on the issue, in an equitable manner, very equitable manner.
And I saw that you launched this initiative essentially so that the public tries to hold you accountable for being
Absolutely.
unbiased. I can't remember like what you termed it, but it
It's
was
anti-bias. That's the
at
name of
was
it. Well,
at the
anti-bias.
anti-bias
Right.
initiative.
Right. That's the initiative.
Yeah.
So it's the first of its kind. I don't know if any media entity anywhere else has it, but how it came about is I'm saying the media, mass media, journalism, the whole works. the fourth estate of power. A lot of power, a lot of power to influence, um, a lot of power to tell people what to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A
Yep.
lot of power. And while we have been focused for a very long time on protecting that power, I don't think we've spent enough time focusing on the fact that the media people can abuse that power.
True.
That power can be abused. The media must be held accountable, not just by not just through regulation that the state might impose to protect vulnerable people from harmful content and so on. But the media must take a proactive approach in accountability and giving people the opportunity to hold it accountable. We're
Yeah.
solving the people, The people must be able to say, "Hey, I don't like this. That's why are you spinning these stories?
Yeah.
Why are these headlines so sensational?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Yeah.
did you bring this story and like it's based on hearsay? Where are the facts?" So these things
Yep.
Sounds very familiar.
so and it's really very related because it's a media literacy exercise too. Because how do you really know what are the qualitative requirements, criteria that you can use to judge whether or not a story is biased? So
Mm.
that's what we're putting there. So this is how you judge based on what the scholars say. These are guidelines that you can use to judge this story. So, we have at the end of each story, click the one you feel the most about. And we will take into consideration this feedback. It will have challenges. There might be some people who will spam it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
And put, things, but we're going to try to develop it as much as possible. But it's important because what you find, mass media I'm sorry to say this is a media practitioner, but it's kind of corrupt. I'm really sorry to say that because nobody beats up on their own profession. But when you have media entities, for instance, in the US, mainstream media entities endorsing political candidates, that's like
Yeah.
low. That's absolutely low. When
Yeah.
You know, we
publicly
were
endorse
having
media entity, a
we were
political.
having a discussion.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think recently about the advent of Talisu and how it came about because of trying to counter Western media.
Right, right.
And a lot of people I find and don't think they realize how media really influences their thinking.
Yes, it's a very powerful tool. Before I studied, to be honest, admittedly, I was like, okay, media studies, I've been in this. Okay, let's do. But when I really got to the nitty gritty of it, the
Yeah.
psychology that is involved, it's a very powerful tool, and accountability is a must.
Yeah. It has the power to rewrite and write history.
History. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's we have to keep it free and fair. But free and fair is not only from corporate forces or political forces, it's also from within.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be the change, St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the region, the world, we have to sometimes make bold steps to put things in place to bring about those changes. It's a sacrifice to make, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you mentioned to us that it's you, your brother, and Ashisia, pronounced it
Yes,
correctly. Yeah.
yes,
And I think Ashisia worked at API prior,
yes,
right? So she has a background in media as well.
absolutely.
How about sourcing the content for your page, for your website, and then even after you've sourced it, how do you ensure that what you're getting is like accurate and valid information?
Okay, that's excellent. That's a brilliant question. I mean, I think you're the real journalist here. I mean, it's not your job, just really brilliant. Sourcing is important because everything we do hinges on credibility. If we lose credibility, we lose everything.
Yeah.
So um, we get information from several sources. Sources. So, for instance, somebody could send in an entity could send in a press release if it's a known entity. There are certain characteristics which must come with the release. So for instance, there must be the name of the communications code specialist or officer, the telephone number. Easier, you can say, okay, CWS is sent in this or VINLEX sent in this. That's easy. But if it's a new entity, um, you have to do due diligence. You have to call them, find out. Sometimes you have to go visit the Facebook page if they have one. Visit the website, make sure is this a legitimate thing, and make sure that is covered. For situations outside of the press release, it's a lot more complicated. For instance, somebody might call you and say, Demian, there's somebody got shot at Salvation Army.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you go about that? You call the police, they can't respond at this time.
Yeah.
You're not on scene, you don't have the details. Um, the most that you can do is try as much as possible to contact several people that you trust to and who are close to the incident to get some visuals for you and to get some information, and then you can do a story once you can verify to say, well, yes, something did happen, but we're investigating it. We will bring you more details as
Okay.
it plays along.
Mm-hmm.
To go now and just say John calls you and John says there's a Salvation Army. You are not a Salvation Army. You don't see images of a fire. And even if you do, you need to verify those.
Yeah.
And then you can post breaking news, fire at Salvation Army, and then everybody a million shares, woo, fire. And then
Oh no, there's a fire.
then everybody's like, oh my goodness. What who is running that page? What are these
Yeah,
people
and then you
doing?
have
What is
to
that?
issue a
Fake news.
retraction.
Yes, and the retractions are so terrible. They hot. Retraction hot. They hot. Any media passenger that tells you they don't hot, that's a lie. There are instances though where sometimes you have a very reliable source and the source can pull on you.
Hmm.
So you can have a very reliable, trusted person, let's say
Mhm.
government official, and they tell you something, they're in a position where they're able to tell you that. You go, you publish, and then the rug is moved from under you.
Yeah.
So that is possible. And in those cases, it might not be ethical to even in those cases to reveal who the source is. So sometimes you just have to humble yourself and just retract.
Mhm.
Okay.
Other times you stick to your I don't want to say stick to your guns. That's not appropriate language. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you remain resolute to what you have, and then you say that this source was saying this, but then it turns out that it's different. So
Yeah. We saw an example of that recently.
right,
Yeah, with where the Minister of Health had posted something on his page and a particular news entity
right.
interpreted it one way. And
Yes.
yeah, rather than issuing a retraction, it was like, well, this is what it said, so this is what we
And that I don't. And I mean, this is not bashing anyone because it's media. We're
Yes.
supposed to do that, but it's the ethical thing to do if you find yourself in a position like that is to just admit you're wrong. I mean, I think people will be more sympathetic to you
Mm-hmm.
to do that because when it comes to very important national issues like an infectious disease and increased cases of an infectious disease, that could cause alarm, panic.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. So it's really good, always good to wait on official information. I always say to my people that I prefer to get it last than to get it wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah,
There's
I
there's
like
a lot
that.
of glory in getting it first, but there are also a lot of risks. I prefer to get it last than to get it wrong. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I'm gonna strive to get it first. But if I cannot verify from official sources, that's gonna be left right there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how do you find it hard sometimes to like separate your whatever personal views you may have or whatever political views you may have from, trying to produce unbiased content because you're only human. So
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. Very excellent. It's excellent for so many reasons. Because objectivity, there are some scholars who say that it's really not possible in this field. You have to strive towards it, but to attain it, it's not really possible because we all have our inherent biases. Um, my personal way of dealing with it is to not have any emotional attachments to anything.
Okay.
So in I could, in principle, I could support particular organization based on based on what my perception of what they're doing is. But that doesn't mean I have to be a slave to surrender my mind to the organization. If you get
yeah,
what I'm saying.
independent thinking.
Independent thinking, right? And I think as our democracy matures and persons like yourself, young, brilliant, upcoming, we have to develop the craft of being open, being open to different perspectives and viewpoints and giving people a fair chance to say
Yeah,
what they have to say. You
yeah.
know, um, that's what higher learning is all about. Critical thinking and making decisions based
Do you think we have a saturated news market though in St. Vincent?
and
Because
this
we have we
coming.
I mean, how many online publications do you, I mean, Searchlight has an online publication. I'm not so sure about the news. Eyewitness News, ANN News, News 784,
784.
uh, a bunch of different things. So do you think it's saturated?
I'm going to be very honest with you, and this honesty could get me in trouble, but I'm going to be very honest.
Take a sip.
Let me take some wine first. Let's take some wine first for what's coming.
Oh boy. Yeah.
All right. So I think it is not necessarily the market that's saturated, but the content that the market is producing.
Okay.
That's where the saturation lies. And what I mean by that, it's really more of the same across platforms, in my opinion.
Mhm.
You, it's really more of the same. I think we need a fresh approach um, in terms of look and feel, and in terms of giving people that opportunity in an organized manner to be part of the process and to get more voices, more voices of academics, more voices of lay people,
Yeah.
um, dig deeper with the stories, not just something happened and you leave it there. You give background context, rich
Yeah. Yeah.
information, coverage, richer coverage
Yeah.
of
I
situations.
really like the article that you published with the history between Ralph Gonsalves. And you were going to talk about that. That was amazing. And the
I was good.
Grenadian Prime
Yeah,
Minister. That was
I was
See,
amazing.
just gonna
And it
raise
kind
it.
of like another thing I want to mention as well is that I find, because I have a friend that was a journalist for the Nation newspaper in Barbados. And one thing that he used to focus a lot on is investigative journalism. So not just reporting
yes.
on things that happen, but he used to go on the ground, try to find some interesting stories, dig them up, bring them to light, and give background. And in my opinions, I feel like I don't see enough of that in St. Vincent. I don't know what
Me
your
too.
thoughts on that.
Me too. And that's one of the reasons because sometimes you're tired of you hear things being discussed and you're tired of these false dichotomies. It's either or, it's black or white. What are the other perspectives? We have to, I think we have to invest more in richer coverage
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
things. That's one of the driving forces behind why I decided. get into this business. You bring a breath of fresh air in some circumstances. Not that there aren't entities who are trying,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to bring something to the table um, quickly and in a concentrated manner, consistent manner, sorry, consistent manner. In that way.
Do you think, given the political climate in St. Vincent, people expect you to take a certain position, especially given the views held of other media houses? Do you think you're tainted with a particular brush? Painted with a particular brush?
It is possible. It is possible, but I think people are catching on to the fact that you can, and this is a really big debate even in academia, like here in this field, that you really can make a contribution that is fair and balanced, even if you have your personal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
views about things. And to me, it's working so far. One News so far has gotten shares from the New Democratic Party on their page. They've shared one of our articles.
Right,
Uh, People from the Unity Labour Party have shared and endorsed us.
Yeah.
right.
Uh, People who claim to be independent um, have seen what we have been doing so far.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying what they're saying so far. The general feeling is okay. These people are really trying. They're based
Yeah.
on their stories. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to be as fair and as balanced as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to continue in that vein, not drop the ball because the moment you drop the ball, some more credibility gone.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yep.
exactly.
What we can really create is a safe space, even though in some circles there might be a perception here or there. People must know, listen, this is an age of free and independent thinking. Come with your views and perspectives. They as long as you're not defaming anyone
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, you'll be given a chance, you know, to say what you have to say because your voice matters. And you will be given that chance in a space and in a context that will not spin, that would not twist or distort in any way your views to try to make you look bad or anything like that.
So, what do you see? What you have now in terms of this online publication? What do you see it evolving into, or what do you think would be like your next step into elevating what you already have now?
Okay. Um, that's a really good question. I think there's not a reference that I could draw from, let's say, international media in terms of the role I want this to play, but
Mm.
I see it being a very fair and open platform. Really and truly, I had started a news entity on Mona campus. It's the only one, the only student-led one, campus reporter.
Mhm.
And I get along famously with all of the members of the guild. You know, warring candidates and so on. They see campus reporter as a safe space. So campus reporter is not going to be aligned with the guild president or the person who is running against them. Campus reporter is going to provide, even though campus reporter might go to the polling station and vote, campus reporter is going to um, dedicate the space itself, the space, to being an equal platform
Yeah.
for honest and open discussions.
Oh, I think
Did Demian just?
yeah, I think
Did we just lose him?
we
Yeah,
might
I
have
think he
lost
just
him for a
froze.
bit.
Okay, let's just give him a few then. See if he
Yeah.
pops back on.
For
Yui famously has terrible internet though, so
yeah. That's the thing.
So
Especially you and Mona for some reason.
terrible internet. I don't understand why.
Maybe it's all the trees and the mountains around. I
Cave
don't
Hill
know.
was terrible.
Yes, yes.
Cave Hill's internet was terrible. So I don't know. Maybe he's just having a bad internet connection. He did say when he joined that he was trying to find
The magic
like
spot.
a spot.
Let me just quickly check the. There we go. He's
Oh, I
back.
think I'm back. Sorry about being
Oh
back.
Yeah,
great.
no
Yes,
problem.
I just
We were just commenting on the fact that we all went to UE, so we were saying Cave Hill's internet was terrible on campus.
welcome to Mona.
Yeah, so yeah.
Mona is worse.
Very. Yeah. So all of those factors into play make this the platform must feel like a free and open platform that everybody has a fair and equal chance.
So what do you think is lacking in the field of communication and journalism in St. Vincent and even in the Caribbean?
Several things. Accountability of the media. Is one of them. If you take the broadcast media for instance, there are no broadcast codes in St. Vincent. Radio stations have codes with their own airs. F bombs coming out. Songs with F bombs. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Explicit content. Content that could do harm to young people. Vulnerable, the more vulnerable sections of society, exposing them to morally degrading content and so on. Um, we have situations where we have a lot of lawsuits swinging here, left, right, and center. Um, for discriminatory remarks. In the wider Caribbean, you have issues like cyberbullying online.
Yeah.
People are not, a lot of people, a considerable number of people are not investing enough in being more responsible digital citizens and some education media literacy and education campaigns along that line. Some more of them. It's not that you don't have any of them happening, but you need more of them. These are issues that we need to fix. Generally, with the news media, there's too much partisan political bias.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the main issues. You also have the lack of investigative journalism, like enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
There could be several reasons. Access to information still remains an issue. And those things are things that we need to have conversations on, more conversations on. So, accountability, to sum it up, and accountability not only through state regulation or those who believe that the media should regulate itself in terms of adhering to ethical principles, but accountability in the 21st century news media extends now to the media ridding itself of the inclination to go down the partisan political route. It has to be a situation that we clean up ourselves and set a new standard to say, listen, we are going to fulfill the role that we should fulfill in the best possible way to give fair chance to everyone to responsibly say what they have to say and to let their voices be heard.
But do you think one of the issues with local media is that they don't necessarily have media training?
I
They
was just
don't
gonna say that.
the ethics of the field.
Yeah, because you have a lot of people who are. I think radio is the best example for St. Vincent, who are on radio and they haven't necessarily received media training. it's kind of something they fell into and just kind of stuck with. And some of them are really good at it, and some of them are really bad at it.
Yep.
So don't you think like that is like the main issue there, like training, media training?
It's I mean, you guys, I mean, you should join One News. These questions are relevant. These questions are so relevant. Extremely relevant, and it's a good point. And I think in a lot of cases that is the situation. You have a lot of people who um, are not exposed enough. Trying to use some euphemisms, you know. They're not exposed enough to some of the ethical responsibilities that they should have.
Yeah.
And in some cases, I believe where they are exposed, they probably just don't care because the system of accountability is new.
Yeah, yeah. Unless somebody collects a little lawsuit Monday morning or a lawyer letter.
Right.
Ah,
So and that's why I'm glad you raised that because one of the things One News aims to do is to promote media literacy.
Oh,
Okay.
We
wonderful.
want the public to have a thorough understanding of what to expect. You'll see us putting up in the future, in the near future, some posters and um, flyer information flyers and so on. Aesthetically appealing ones, not too much text and so on. About
Glad
maybe
you
the
said that.
important. Very important.
about maybe some of the codes from in the region, you know,
Yeah.
um, so that they have an idea, and that's why anti-bias came up with that too. That's one way of us exposing them. Listen, this is how you judge things.
Yeah.
So we need more of that. So once the people know how to judge things better, they will play an increasing role in knowing how to properly hold accountability.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, Heidi. I saw you wanted to.
Now, this is a discussion that we have time and again. We look at the approach to technology that various governments have, particularly in relation to the handling of the COVID pandemic.
Right.
Now, in the St. Vincent context, there have been incidences of misinformation and questionable publications. So what do you think we in St. Vincent could do better in relation to technology, media, how we handle, how we cover, and not necessarily only from a media house perspective, but from a communications perspective?
Right. Well, my training is in IMC and I specialize in public relations. So it's a good question for me.
Yeah.
It's in the realm and context of crisis management, crisis communication, and I think a lot of entities, a lot of the stakeholders could go back to the drawing board, perhaps including the government.
Uh-huh.
Um, in managing their handling of the information that they release. I think in times like this, transparency is key. I'm not saying that they're not being transparent, but I'm saying transparency is key. I'm gonna leave it open and ambiguous. Transparency is key. Um, Timely communication is key because people in times of crisis, people are hungry for information, and if they don't get it in a timely manner, they're going to speculate and the
Yep.
mischievous people who um, disseminate fake news and so on. Because when the age of citizen journalism, anybody could just come, start a blog, do anything, publish, everybody believes.
True.
So it would give free rein to those persons if where the official information is supposed to come from, if it's slow if there is a perception that there is some obfuscation, some cover up that's happening. So those are issues that must be considered and reworked. I think from a media perspective, um, we have to balance. It's a really hard thing to say, but we have to balance the hits
Yeah.
with everything else because without the hits, you have nothing to show to your potential advertisers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in trying to achieve that, you still have to maintain a level of responsibility to the nation.
Yeah.
Nation, because people trust you, they expect credible information from you. In a time of crisis, you cannot afford to let them down. No?
I have a
Yeah.
I have a question, right? Because this is
Sure.
like a kind of, I guess I would say, personal gripe. And I'm wondering, because you spoke about hits, I'm wondering if hits is the reason, or lack of hits is the reason why most news houses do this in St. Vincent. I realize that most of the time, all of the focus is on Facebook. So actually, I don't know if you noticed, but there is a Twitter page called SVG Newsbot, which I made, where I actually added One News St. Vincent as one of the sources for
Yes.
the
You
bot.
always wondering who was running that. Okay.
That
Yes.
girl.
Because in the
Guilty.
website itself, it tells you where some of your leads come from and so on,
Yeah.
in the admin page. Wondering, I saw that.
Right, because I notice, like, personally, I use Facebook less and less, and I get the general impression that as we move forward, the older generation is who would really be on Facebook very actively, and the younger generations are going to other types of, like Twitter, for example, Instagram. Now we have this new entrant for even younger people, which is TikTok. So I'm always wondering, why is it that a lot of the news houses focus, so it feels to me sometimes almost solely on Facebook? Because, for example,
Facebook.
Jamisha might tell me, oh Jan, there's this press conference, because her ears is always on the ground. Jan, there's this press conference, you'll definitely be interested in it, check it out. And when you do check, they're only broadcasting live from Facebook. And they're not broadcasting
Facebook.
anywhere else. They don't make any content like focus on any other platform. There's almost no presence on Instagram, for example. And I'm wondering, why is it? Is it that Vincentians are not on the other platforms? Or is it that, I don't know, maybe you could help me here.
It is. I mean, you guys are the best. I mean, you guys are the absolute best. These are serious questions because that raises an even deeper question about we don't do enough market research and mass media research. Should I say we don't
Yeah.
do enough? Let me play it safe and say we don't do enough because I can't be reckless to say that we don't do it at all because I don't know.
Yeah.
But media consumption surveys are important to
Mm-hmm.
guide decisions, like that. Because I know a lot of people in St. Vincent, for instance, are on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is a media consumption survey in St. Vincent to indicate that. So people
Yeah.
would go based on the media entities would go based on perception. It is
Yeah. Yeah.
perceived book is the run, so let's go with Facebook.
Yeah.
But then young people on Twitter and Instagram might feel a little disenfranchised, But they'll be like, how come you're on? We're not so much on Facebook. Why aren't you coming more on Twitter? But I think it's a lack of insight, And I think that's one of the things that I know they have a radio, I think it's biannual, a radio survey that comes out.
Yeah, I heard about that. And they
Right.
list like top listenership for
Right.
each
And
station.
even that, I know it's done by a credible entity, but I think even that you should have another entity doing that, So let's have two. Let's have a comparison. Let's see if there are any discrepancies with the data, any disparity. But we need more mass media resource
Yeah.
in this consent context to guide decision.
And I think it leaves, well, like from my own observation of what happens like on Twitter. Granted, I'm not following every Vincent on Twitter, but from what I could tell is that there is such a huge gap in information that's on Facebook and that's on Twitter. So
Yeah.
you
I
might
am
see people on Twitter asking things that in my mind are basic because I've already seen them 15 times seen this particular type of information 15 times on Facebook, or seen it stream on 3 different platforms that are not that not Twitter. So
yes.
it might be on the TV, it might be on Facebook live stream, it might be on what else? Something else.
Radio,
But
like NBC Radio or something.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
NBC, the actual website. So NBC radio website, I know they stream all the time,
Yeah.
but there's such a huge gap in the information that the people on Twitter have and that the people on Facebook have. It's actually kind of baffling how clueless people
No,
people are when they aren't on Facebook, because we focus so much on
on Facebook.
piling the information just on this particular medium, and people who are not on that medium refuse to be on that medium for whatever personal or reason. They don't interact with Facebook. They're kind of just left in a lurch now. So if you're probably not like Janika, who maybe, checking various local websites on a regular basis, you're left out of the loop.
But to be honest, I have to say that because I personally decided, I said that like on previous slides as well, I personally decided that I don't want to use Facebook as actively as I used to. And when I first cut off my Facebook use, I also cut off my connection to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it felt like only St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Like I could
Oh,
tell you the latest thing that was happening in Barbados, for
Yeah,
example, but
yeah,
I couldn't tell you, and it's not because I am more patriotic to Barbados for some reason. It's
yeah,
just because as soon as I cut off Facebook, I also cut off my information to, I mean, my live information or credible information, and so that's why I decided as well to do the bot, because I said to myself, and they do surveys. Well, they did some in the U.S. and in the English speaking part of the world, where they decided to find out how is it that people get their information these days. It's not like back in the day, a newspaper arrives at your door, you open it, you flip through it. In fact, a lot of people don't even read newspapers anymore. People get their news
mm-hmm,
quite passively these days, and I was missing this passive aspect. If for 1 week I was
yeah,
super busy and I didn't go on all 3 news sites to check, or well, it was 3 at the time, to check what was going on, then I was just cut off. Jimish and Heidi would be talking about something crucial, and I would just be
and
lost just because I wasn't on
clueless.
Facebook. And I don't feel like, personally, I feel like that's a huge problem, because not just in a personal capacity, but as Jamisha was saying, okay, yes, people on these other platforms are clueless. One, the age range is like quite a bit lower, and it leaves a gap
Mm-hmm.
wide open for
Yeah,
misinformation. If somebody comes now and decides to start a mischievous version of Kev's Politics, but for Vinci Twitter, and they pass it off. Kev's Politics is, for those who don't know, like they focus on Barbadian news, but they also do like political news, but a lot of Barbadian news. If somebody decides
yeah,
to do a mischievous Twitter page, decide to make it a news page, and start spreading malicious information, it's gonna spread like wildfire, because there's this gap. And I keep saying, like, we need to fight information with information, and I feel like there needs to be this
I love that.
balance. So actually, when I started the bot, it was for myself, so that there would be an account that I'm following. Some breaking
yeah,
news happens in St. Vincent, and I passively see it while I'm scrolling or whatever. And I
yeah,
feel like this is kind of a
yeah.
dangerous situation, actually.
I think a perfect example of that though, Janika, was that same back and forth that SVG's prime minister had with Grenada's prime minister. That was a perfect example. So if you looked at the narrative on Twitter was almost like, why is Ralph Gonsalves saying these things and doing this thing? Why? It's not good. He should apologize. And it was all because, they were just seeing or hearing, or somebody was tweeting like a snippet of what had been said.
Yeah, yeah,
And they have no clue that like this was said within a context, or this these two people aren't just butting heads for the sake of butting heads. Like there's something in the water besides
size the
pistol,
person. Yep.
right? Yeah, so I think that's a perfect example of what that lack of information creates. That misinformation or lack thereof creates, a whole narrative unto itself.
Yes, and Janika, that's a really good initiative that you came up with there. Really good, really good. And yeah, those are, I'm taking all those points. You notice I'm not saying much because I agree fully.
And this is a gap you can fill because we can get live information. And I mean, now is the opportune moment for, you know, sectors to take advantage of, this grouping of
Yeah.
people because
Yeah,
the old folks already know what they're doing. They're on Facebook, they've, made their decisions. So it's the young ones now who have to be targeted. And I always believe that, when there is no information, it leaves room for misinformation.
Definitely.
And the thing is, every single major news site on news network internationally on Twitter,
Yeah.
every single one of them.
I would
So
even.
if
I
so,
sorry to
it's
cut you
just
off,
kind of
but
weird to me that we would not want to capitalize on that because every single one of them they have a major presence on Twitter. And if you look at the amount of followers that each page has, BBC probably has like millions. I mean, obviously, you can't compare St.
yeah.
Vincent's, population to, what people go to the BBC for internationally. But, they're all there. They all have a presence.
but
So why don't we want to have a presence there
So
as
I
well?
think,
mm,
this reminds me of a culture class that we had because when people look at the digital divide, they really tend to look at people access, access based on connectivity and so on. But the
mm-hmm.
digital divide is really deeper than that because here we have people having access to different platforms, but some are getting more
Than
information
others.
than the other.
Yeah.
So I think we have to. It's a good point. We have to invest in the equitable distribution of information by ensuring that we don't disenfranchise our information seekers. So those on Twitter must get the same information that you have on Facebook in a timely manner. Um, I think it's important. I think, from this, I'm really gonna put One News on Twitter.
Yes?
Yeah.
I'll drink
Great.
to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. But I have to admit though that social media management is difficult.
It is.
If the human resources or the technical know-how is
Mm-hmm.
absent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only recently, to be honest, that I realized WordPress had a feature that I could post simultaneously, same post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I was like, really? And so,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
actually posted on the website. It's posted on those platforms at the same time.
Yeah, you
So I
should.
think
Uh, we would gladly take the kudos for
yes,
for what news being
it's
on
definitely to
Twitter.
you, and I'm thanking you, and I'm really gonna look into it.
Great.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Janica?
No, I
Or
was
no?
gonna say, to the point with all the major news sites being on Twitter. Another thing is that they also source information on Twitter. So,
Mm-hmm.
because the
Mm-hmm.
fact that our voice is not really there, it's kind of also as if we are absent, because they're
Yeah.
not checking. They don't know what the news sites are. They don't know about One News. They have no clue. Sometimes they just
Yeah.
find out things because something went viral on Twitter or something was reshared or retweeted, and they
Yeah.
DM you. Sometimes if you look under the viral post, you see all these reputable reporters.
Yeah. You
Hey,
see them
can we
asking.
follow? Yeah, so they do a lot of sourcing of information, and I feel like there's another pity too that we're absent and we're not they're not even not only just sharing the articles from other news
Correct.
sources, but sharing media as well,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
natively
Because
posting videos or stuff. We don't have that from St. Vincent. It's
it's
absent.
correct because I know even CNN and BBC they would make a story. So Donald Trump posted on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even at that level, it happens. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
you see them asking, like, messaging, "Hey Janika, we see you've just posted this. Can we use it for XYZ and we'll credit you, or
Yep.
Oh, and
so
this actually happened because with Trinidad Express.
they contacted me.
Right.
ah
Trinidad Express contacted me to ask me if they could use Janika's Harry COVID map that she created, because I posted it. So they thought it was my thing. And
ah
they contacted me via Twitter asking me if they could use it on their platform. So that's a I completely forgot about that, Heidi, but that's a perfect example.
Yep. So that's a
that's great.
market
So,
to attack.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a
I guess
little more than just, mass posting. It's about creating content
Yeah.
specifically
yes.
for
For
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right down the line of one of because that was one of four internal objectives for One News because I
Mm-hmm.
think even the way we present information, it's not sometimes it's not so aesthetically well
Oh
endowed.
my gosh.
True.
Don't even start.
Sometimes
Like,
we don't take advantage of these, technical avenues to get information out to the different audiences.
yeah.
This
Because one of the things that when I show, I think I will take credit for busting One News to my friends, my two friends
Yes.
here.
True.
you
Yes.
that's yes, yeah.
True.
I saw it. I saw it on Facebook, and I opened it, and I opened both the Facebook page and the website. And I was just so amazed by the aesthetics of the website. I was like, look, y'all need to go and check this. This person looks real legit, really loving it. And I think that plays a major part of it, because you don't want to go on a news website and it just looks like,
Good.
like a child sat down behind a laptop and said, "Yeah, let me write this and post this." you know,
It looks like 2005.
yeah, it adds and takes away from credibility.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because me personally I have an eye for beauty. So I like my photographs have to like you don't want to see them stretched out and I want to see
Yeah,
them it must be
yeah,
aesthetically pleasing,
yeah,
modern look, you
yeah.
know. Um and I'd definitely be searching for talent because I know we have some very good graphics people,
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
you will find them on Twitter. Twitter is
Yeah,
where the youth are. They have time.
Right.
do you have a relationship with other news entities in St. Vincent though, or like is there some sort of dynamic between um operators or creators of online publications, or is it kind of like all man for himself?
That's a really good question. It's a little complicated to say
Mm-hmm.
definitively what it is, and I'll tell you why. Um, Even before I came to study, I was friends with uh, in a professional standpoint, some of these people who own and run some of these
Yeah.
websites. Um, but because even recently I got a photograph. I asked one of them. I said, "There's this photograph. This incident happened at Notley, but I don't have a photograph. Can I use it?" And they said, "Sure, go right ahead."
Okay.
So I think if I were to sum it up, I'd say it appears that there is a relatively good relationship.
Okay. For
Uh,
no. For no.
for now, for now. But I anticipate and I'm prepared for any indifference I might meet if it gets more competitive and stuff.
Yeah. Because it does seem like a competitive market, though.
It is. It is in terms of especially in terms of breaking the news force.
Yeah.
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 But
That, I mean, I figured that there should be some sort of camaraderie, in the profession. But at the same time, I understand that, it's
it's competitive.
every
Okay.
everybody wants to be number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Well,
wants to
well,
be the go-to.
well. If I have the name, one news.
Yeah. Well, one.
That's not a light note, folks. That's not a light note. I'm just kidding.
So have you gotten any issues with like people criticizing your reporting? Have you received any sort of negative feedback thus far?
um, no, not that I could remember. No.
Okay, well that's great.
That's
Excellent.
fantastic.
That is great.
That is great.
In fact, I've had opinion pieces from persons from both sides and people
Mm-hmm.
who are independent.
Great.
And I think a good indicator for this is anytime you see people in academia feeling open and free to publish on your platform, it means that they think that there is not this load of, political bias or whatever. So they feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable that
Yeah.
this material would not be subject to unfair criticism and so on your platform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of good reviews from both sides and people who are on no side.
So where do you see yourself, like in the next 5 years as a media professional and as the founder of this particular publication?
Um, 5 years. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay, let's cut it down.
Okay.
3 years.
3. Wow. That would be 20. How much? 20. 2023.
Yeah.
I don't really have a trajectory to be honest.
Okay.
In terms of where I do professionally in the context of One
Mm-hmm.
News. I hope One News will still be around. What I hope to do from the succession is to get some young people and have them expose them to the training and so on in this field.
Mhm.
And hopefully there are enough finances to sustain it.
Yeah.
So there is room for continuity. In terms of I being the one to lead that continuity, let's say beyond 5 years, I'm not sure if fate would have it that way. But if it does, I'd be happy to
Yeah.
be part of something that I hope would grow exponentially in the context of St. Vincent, and perhaps who knows, maybe we'd have One News Caribbean.
Ah,
That would be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
definitely.
That would be something to look forward to. And I think you're in a good position to, help develop Vincentians who want to get involved in media and communications because you're one formally trained in it, but you also had informal experience for all these years as
Yes.
a radio broadcaster.
Yes.
So, you are perfectly positioned to help mold a next generation of people who want to get involved in this type of thing. So you have a responsibility, actually. Even if you don't want to, you have a responsibility to do it.
Yes. And I have to really thank my former boss, Mr. Jules Williams, because WeFM, as we know, it's not a secret. It has a perception that it is sympathetic towards the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jules always had people from the opposition coming to a station to be interviewed, and he would be very angry at any announcer who seeks to, uh, you know, treat unfairly any of those guests. And And he would
Mm-hmm.
always pull us aside and say, tell us one thing. You see, when you're here and you're in there, you have a responsibility to the people, not to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Responsibility to the people and ensure that whoever you interview, you treat them fairly.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuck with me, and that's something I will hope to instill in somebody else once I have the opportunity.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for people who may want to get into media, communications, journalism?
It's such a dynamic field. It's such a dynamic field. I didn't know it was so dynamic until I really got formal training inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
But look for seek it through, start somewhere. If you're going to climb a ladder, you can't stay at the bottom and say you hope to get up. You have to put one step over foot up at a time.
Yeah.
So you start, get some exposure somewhere. Um, Even if it's singing, and this might sound weird, singing, media, it could help with your pronunciation, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
things like that. So, and it could help with your analysis of audiences and their reaction to different communication. So
Yeah.
if you hear you're in a studio, you hear somebody singing a song and they said something, you're like, no, you can't say that. You have to, So it develops all the skills inside of you.
Yeah.
Communication is dynamic. We communicate in every single way. Every way. Communication is everything is communication, and communication is
Mhm.
everything. So start somewhere, get some exposure, and if you're getting into news media, it's a big sacrifice to make. It's a massive sacrifice. You have to be prepared to be fair and balanced. Even despite your personal preferences, you have to relax those and give rise to the inclination to be fair, balanced, because everything you do hinges on that credibility.
Yeah.
If you decide to get into, let's say, advertising, start get going around some graphic designers and start exposing yourself to software, free software. Photopia, that's the cousin for Photoshop. Learn, go to YouTube, do some tutorials, learn about um, gradients and layers, paths, how you mix and integrate these things to create visual communication. And read. Communication requires you to read a lot,
Yeah.
either by will or by force. And people expect you to know a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
any
Mm-hmm.
seminars you hear, and it's free. Any little workshop here or there, any webinars, go attend them. Even if it's about something that's scientific, learn something too. Because once you're in the news media field, the communication field in general, you would need to be able to have a common, at least a basic understanding of a lot of things, how things work. So to sum it up, um, give yourself some exposure, you know, um, read a lot. And if you're getting into news media, prepare to be balanced and fair.
Good advice. So, do we have any more questions for Damien?
Well, I don't have any more questions personally. I was just checking. If you see me looking to the side, I'm just checking how we're running and everything technical is still
Mhm.
going.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the tech boss
We
there.
have
The
our
tech
tech
boss.
person.
The tech boss.
but I have to say that you guys have been doing an excellent job too. I too have been following you. I know Miss Badnock from um, well, I don't know if she remembers me. I know her from, is it from Emmanuel? JP Eustace?
That's my sister.
Oh
Secondary school?
wow! You're showing your age, Demian.
Right.
Because I
So,
is the youngest of all her sisters.
no, but she didn't teach me, but she was a very good teacher. But I was always around there. Um, Miss Prince, I know you have been doing. I mean, I have to congratulate you and the team for the excellent diplomatic work
Oh,
that's been going on. That was
thanks.
really historic, St. Vincent attaining
Yeah,
that
yeah.
UN Council that had to have taken a lot of effort.
I don't know that we would ever get past the surreal feeling of it, but yeah,
And
thanks.
It's crazy.
Janika, you've been making waves. You have been blazing trails in that field of computer science and so on. And your work is already speaking for itself. So
Mm-hmm.
Thank
I
you.
just encourage you to continue. We are the new ones, the upcoming. I don't even know if I should say upcoming again because we're kind of in. We have to start to think present tense and the impact of our actions. No, we don't have
Yeah,
Yeah.
upcoming.
good point.
So it's good for us to just continue in our various fields. And I like things like this. You see, this program, this is excellent.
Thank you.
you. Why,
Thanks a
thank
And
lot.
you.
this is
And
all this.
just like One News, this was, you know, started in the midst of the pandemic.
Indeed.
This was this was Heidi's idea for us to just go on Instagram Live and talk to one another on Instagram Live about how the pandemic was affecting us in different countries.
Yep.
And then it just ballooned into something else. So hopefully we would start getting a lot of viewers now that we're on different platforms.
I am sure it would because it's a quality program. The questions are exceptional. The responses are balanced and fair. I feel it's a safe environment. I
Yeah.
don't feel like somebody's putting me in a hot seat trying to make me something that because
Yeah.
the next social media sensation. Uh,
Yeah, we don't have an agenda over here. We chat.
and
We don't have we don't operate on advertising, so we don't
Yeah,
need to
true.
have
okay, right? Because advertising is commercial propaganda.
Wow.
So
Preach.
um,
my
this
glass
is
is like almost empty.
It's
this is
But
awesome.
authentic. It fits the quarantine feeling.
yeah.
Fine, and chat. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
But thank you for coming on, Demian. We're
Thank
very
you for
happy that
having
you
me.
came on
Yes.
Thank you
because
so much.
we really like what One News has been doing. I think it's one of my favorite or my go-to online
Same
platforms
here.
right now. Yeah. Because the website is it's readable. It doesn't make me feel like I'm
It has
struggling
a
to find the info. Yeah, everything,
modern
Yep.
feel.
everything. So yeah, and I like that you do this little card. Sometimes you just post a card with just like a highlight, like a
Yes.
breaking news highlight. I really like that.
Yes.
So yeah, we just
You'll be seeing more of those iconographic
yeah
representations of different things that add to the aesthetics of
Yep.
the whole
yeah
chat
yeah.
across the platform. Angelica, definitely gonna start a Twitter page this evening.
Trust me,
Yay!
it's gonna it's needed. So
It
happy,
is.
so happy. I'll look out for
It
it and I'll be the first to retweet.
Yes,
And
we'll be looking
the
out.
actual quality of your writing is excellent
Yeah.
because you read through it and you don't see typos, you don't see sentence structures that are off. Sometimes you look at these online publications and not just in St. Vincent, just regionally sometimes.
True,
And
true.
you could tell that in the haste to get it out first,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
they've misconstrued a whole statement or they've spelt something wrong or given an incorrect name or something like that. So the quality of the content is really admirable and commendable.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Really
keep it up.
And thanks so, so much for joining.
Yeah, thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you.
All right.
All
Okay.
right,
So
thanks.
all
So we'll
right.
be wrapping up. This was great, despite our technical difficulties starting out.
Yeah.
Feel free to share. Now that it's on these different platforms, that people can look at it after, which is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't have the interactivity that we normally do, but I guess it's because this is new.
New.
We've changed from Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully with time this catches on, it continues, it grows. And hopefully life doesn't get in the way of us continuing to, have these little chats,
True.
Yeah, and
gaining
maybe we could
knowledge.
even have Demian come back,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
sure.
be
you
great.
know,
I'm
like
already.
a follow up on how the website has been doing, a follow
Yes.
up on the Twitter has been
Twitter.
Twitter.
doing.
I'll
Hint, hint.
definitely. I definitely should keep an eye on wine and chat for your guests. For news purposes.
Yeah.
To make get some another information source. I see because you are all quality people, and I know you'd have very good sources. To interview and so on.
Thank you. So we
Thanks.
could
Yeah.
have Jennifer end us off as we cheers, like to another wine and chat.
Indeed.
Cheers.
All right. All right. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
So Jenny,
It's ended.